Emma Rodriguez stepped out of the transport shuttle and looked at the metal walls of Meridian 7 station. She was nervous. This was her first real assignment as a cadet, and she did not want to make mistakes. The station hung in space like a giant metal tube with arms reaching out in different directions. It was the research center for studying alien life that the military had captured. Commander Derek Hayes waited for Emma at the entry gate. He was tall and had a serious face. His uniform showed many years of military service. He looked at Emma with the kind of expression that made her stand up straight without being told to do so. "Welcome to Meridian 7, Cadet Rodriguez," Commander Hayes said. "You have been assigned to assist Dr. Laura Wilson in the research division. Do not touch anything without permission. Do not go into restricted areas. Do you understand?" "Yes, Commander," Emma replied. Her voice was steady, even though her heart beat fast. The commander led her through the station corridors. The walls were white and clean. Scientists and soldiers moved through the halls with purpose. They passed windows that showed the dark space outside. Emma had read all the files about this station. She knew they kept an alien creature here. A creature that could not be killed. Dr. Laura Wilson was waiting in the observation room. She was younger than Emma expected, with sharp eyes that looked at everything carefully. She wore the white coat of a scientist and had a tablet filled with data. "Emma, good to have you here," Dr. Wilson said. She did not smile, but her voice was not unfriendly. "We have much to do. First, let me show you what we are studying." They walked to the large window. Below them was the containment chamber. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The creature was massive. It was at least 3 stories tall and covered with thick brown skin that looked almost like armor. Its body was shaped like a reptile, but nothing that had ever lived on Earth. Long spikes ran down its spine. Its head was wide with a mouth that held rows of teeth like knives. It had 4 eyes, arranged so it could see in almost all directions. The creature moved slowly around the chamber, its claws scraping against the metal floor. This creature was found on the planet Kepler 452b, Dr. Wilson explained. "We captured it 8 months ago. Since then, we have learned why the alien civilization there left it behind." "Why?" Emma asked. "Because it is unkillable," Dr. Wilson said. She did not look away from the creature. "We have tested every weapon we have. Bullets pass through its hide without leaving a mark. Explosions only seem to anger it. Energy weapons do nothing. Acid does not damage it. We even tried freezing it. The creature simply survived and waited for warmth." Emma watched the beast pace back and forth. It was like watching a prisoner that had given up hope of escape. "Its regeneration is beyond anything we understand," Dr. Wilson continued. "We made a small cut in its hide to study it. The wound closed completely in 3 hours. We could not even get a proper sample." Commander Hayes had walked into the observation room behind them. "The containment system is state-of-the-art, Cadet Rodriguez. This creature will not escape. We have redundant barriers, emergency protocols, and 20 security personnel dedicated to this chamber alone. You can be assured of safety." Emma wanted to believe him. But something about the creature made her uneasy. It seemed to be thinking. Its eyes moved to the observation window as if it could see them watching. That night, Emma slept in her small cadet quarters. The station hummed with its normal sounds. Machines worked in the background. She dreamed about the creature and its 4 eyes watching her. At 2 in the morning, the power flickered. Emma woke up because the emergency lights came on. Red lights cast everything in a crimson glow. Alarms began to sound. Not the normal test alarms. These were different. These were real. She grabbed her uniform and pulled it on quickly. The alarm continued to wail through the corridors. Emma ran to her assigned station, which was the science observation area. She had to follow protocol. But as she ran through the corridors, she heard something worse than the alarm. She heard the sound of metal breaking. A crash that shook the entire station structure. When Emma reached the observation room, Dr. Wilson was already there, staring at the monitors. Kevin Nash, the security chief, was on the communication system, shouting orders. "Seal containment chamber 2, Kevin shouted. "Activate emergency barriers." "The barriers are not responding," someone answered from a distant part of the station. Emma looked at the main monitor. The containment chamber was empty. The reinforced glass window was cracked, claw marks deep as fingers covered the metal around the window frame. The creature had escaped. How is this possible? Dr. Wilson whispered. Kevin Nash ran into the observation room. His face was red with anger and fear. The power failure caused the security lock to disengage. When power came back, the creature was already moving. It broke through before the barriers could activate. Another crash echoed through the station. This time, it came from the level above them. The creature was moving through the corridors. "Evacuate to the north sector," Commander Hayes said over the communication system. His voice was calm, but Emma could hear tension underneath. "All personnel move to evacuation point Alpha. Security team converge on level 4 to contain the creature." The alarm became louder. Emma and Dr. Wilson ran for the exit. Behind them, they heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Dragging sounds. Kevin Nash pulled out a weapon from his belt. "Go," he said to them. "I will slow it down." Emma and Dr. Wilson ran into the corridor. Behind them, she heard Kevin open fire. The sounds were loud and sharp. Then she heard something that made her blood go cold. She heard Kevin scream. They ran faster. The corridors twisted and turned. Other personnel ran past them toward the evacuation point. Scientists and soldiers moved together, driven by fear. Emma did not look back. But she heard the creature. It was coming. It was hunting. The unkillable beast was loose on the station, and nobody knew how to stop it. The creature moved through the corridor like a storm. Its massive body scraped against both walls as it walked. The lights above it flickered and died from the heat and vibration of its movement. Behind it, the metal floor was scored with deep scratches from its claws. Commander Hayes stood in the command center, watching real-time video feeds from the security cameras. He had been a military officer for 32 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He had commanded troops in battle and made decisions that cost lives and saved lives. But he had never faced anything like this. "All security teams to level 4, he ordered. "Engage the creature with everything we have." Lieutenant Alex Morgan coordinated the tactical response from her station. She was one of the best tactical officers in the military. She had planned hundreds of combat strategies. Now she planned the defense of Meridian 7. "Teams 1 and 2 are in position," she reported. "Ready to engage." The security teams waited around a corner on level 4. They carried plasma rifles, the most advanced weapons the military had developed. They carried explosive devices designed to breach alien armor. They carried ammunition that could penetrate steel. They had armor and shields and training. They were the best soldiers the station could offer. The creature turned the corner. The soldiers opened fire. Plasma bolts shot through the air and hit the creature's body. The heat was intense enough to melt steel. The creature's hide glowed where the bolts struck, but the bolts did not penetrate. The heat did not burn through. The skin simply absorbed the energy. "Fire armor-piercing rounds," Lieutenant Morgan commanded. The security team switched to kinetic weapons. Bullets designed to punch through armor struck the creature. They hit with enough force to knock a human backward. The creature staggered slightly. The soldiers saw hope for a moment. Then the creature moved forward. Its massive claws reached out and crushed the first soldier against the wall. The soldier screamed until he could not scream anymore. "Fall back," the team leader shouted. "Move to secondary position." The soldiers retreated, dragging their wounded with them. Behind them, the creature destroyed their defensive position. It crushed guns and armor like they were toys. It tore metal from the walls. "Explosives team now," Lieutenant Morgan said. The next team was waiting with charges designed to destroy large structures. They placed the explosives in the creature's path and ran. The explosives detonated with force that shook the entire section of the station. Dust and smoke filled the corridor. For a moment, there was silence. Then the creature appeared through the smoke, still walking. Its hide was blackened by the explosion, but it was not seriously damaged. As they watched, the blackened skin seemed to repair itself. Fresh brown scales grew over the burned areas. "It is regenerating," Dr. Wilson said over the communication system. She was analyzing the data from a safe location. "The more damage we do, the faster it regenerates. We are making it stronger." Commander Hayes felt something he rarely felt. He felt fear. He had faced impossible situations before, but this was different. The creature was not just strong. It was learning. With each attack, it understood more about how humans fought. It adapted its movements. It understood where the soldiers would retreat. "All combat teams, cease fire and evacuate to secondary positions," Commander Hayes ordered. His voice remained steady, but the weight of failure pressed on him. "Evacuate all personnel from levels 1 through 5. The evacuation became chaotic. Scientists and workers ran through corridors, pushing toward the evacuation points. The station had multiple escape routes, but with the creature loose, none of them felt completely safe. Alarms continued to sound. The red emergency lights made everything look like blood. Captain James Sullivan was preparing the evacuation shuttles in the docking bay. He had flown military missions for 25 years. He knew how to stay calm under pressure. But as he watched the desperate flow of personnel boarding the shuttles, he felt the weight of their fear. Kevin Nash was not in the evacuation lines. He had been hurt stopping the initial escape. A medical team had found him in a corridor with serious wounds. They had taken him to the medical bay and told him to stay there. But Kevin Nash was a soldier. He ignored the medical team and walked toward the command center, bandaged and in pain. "Situation?" he asked Commander Hayes. "The creature has moved to level 3, Hayes said. "We have lost 23 personnel. We have no effective weapon against it." Kevin's face showed no emotion, but his eyes showed truth. They had all been trained to believe that human military training and weapons could overcome any enemy. This creature proved them wrong. In a maintenance corridor below the main action, Emma and 3 other personnel had become trapped. They were far from the evacuation points, blocked by the creature moving through the sections above them. Emma could hear it moving through the corridors above, could hear the crashes and the terrible sounds of metal being torn apart. One of the trapped personnel was an older engineer named Frank. He was scared, but trying to hide it. "We need to find another way around," he said. "There has to be a maintenance route to the evacuation point." Emma had studied the station maps. She knew where they were. She knew the basic layout. But the creature was moving unpredictably, and they could not see its location precisely. They moved carefully through the maintenance corridors. The sound of the creature grew louder. Then, suddenly, they heard a crash directly above them. The creature had broken through to a section directly overhead. They pressed themselves against the wall, barely breathing. If the creature moved to the next corridor, it would find them. They would have nowhere to run. The footsteps moved away. They continued moving, following the emergency lights towards safety. But with each turn, Emma realized they were moving deeper into the creature's territory, not away from it. Above them, Commander Hayes made the hardest decision of his career. He sealed off sections of the station. He trapped personnel between the creature and safety to give others time to escape. He used the station itself as a weapon, sealing doors and cutting off air to sections where the creature had gone. But they could not seal off the whole station. The creature was too fast. It was learning the layout of the corridors. It was becoming more efficient in its hunting dot in the observation room. Dr. Wilson watched the monitors as the beast continued its advance. Humanity had brought the most advanced weapons to bear. They had trained soldiers. They had strategy and planning. And none of it mattered. The unkillable alien beast continued forward, and nobody knew how to stop it. Emma and her group heard the creature approaching their corridor. They were trapped with nowhere to go. Kevin Nash was wounded. Commander Hayes was making impossible choices. And for the first time, people began to understand a terrible truth. Maybe the creature truly was unkillable. Maybe no weapon would ever stop it. Maybe they had brought an impossible enemy onto their station and locked themselves inside with it. Emma and the 3 other trapped personnel found a dead-end corridor. They had run for 5 minutes through twisting maintenance passages, hoping to find a way to safety. Instead, they had cornered themselves with no exit except the way they came. The older engineer named Frank sat down on the floor. He was breathing hard. The 2 younger scientists, a man named Marcus and a woman named Patricia, stood against the wall. They were listening to the sounds of the creature moving through the station above them. "This is it," Marcus said. His voice was shaking. "We are going to die here." Emma said nothing. She was listening carefully to the sounds above them. The creature's footsteps were heavy, and they made the ceiling shake. But something about the pattern interested her. "It is moving randomly," Emma said quietly. "What?" Frank asked. "The creature," Emma said. "It is not moving in a planned way. The soldiers moved in formations and patterns. The creature is moving in every direction. It goes to a corridor, then leaves. It comes back. It does not know where to go." Patricia looked at her. "That is because it is hunting. It is looking for us." "No," Emma said. She was certain now. She could see it in the pattern of the sounds. "It can sense us. It is trying to follow our movement. But something is confusing it." Emma thought back to the briefing with Dr. Wilson. The scientist had explained the creature's biology. It had sensory organs that were different from anything on Earth. They processed information at incredible speeds, but in a very specific way. The creature's eyes could see heat signatures. It could smell through the metal and air systems. It could feel vibrations through the ground. But it processed all this information through a nervous system that was not designed for the kind of constant noise and movement a populated station created. "Its senses are overloaded," Emma said. "The station is too much noise and movement for it to process correctly." "I do not understand," Frank said. Emma pointed upward. "Listen, it is confused. When it enters a new area with many sounds and movements, it seems to freeze for a moment. It has to process what it is sensing. If we create more confusion, more competing signals, its brain will have trouble deciding what is real and what is not real." Marcus looked at her like she was crazy. "Emma, it is a killing machine. Creating confusion will not stop it." "No," Emma agreed. "But it will slow it down. It will make the creature less effective. Long enough for us to escape." Emma stood up and looked around the dead-end corridor. They had maintenance supplies stored here. There were tools, cleaning materials, buckets for carrying coolant, metal containers, emergency lights. "We have to contact Dr. Wilson," Emma said. She pulled out her communication device and sent an urgent message to the scientist. "Tell her that the creature has a sensory processing issue." Dr. Wilson's response came back within seconds. The scientist had understood immediately. A text message appeared on Emma's screen. It explained what Emma already suspected. The creature's nervous system processed sensory information in a linear way. Too many signals at once would overload it. "Help me," Emma said to the others. She started gathering the metal buckets and containers. Frank got up from the floor. Patricia and Marcus came over to help. "What are you doing?" Patricia asked. "Creating noise," Emma said. She held up a bucket and a metal tool. "We hit these together to create sound. We make it loud and unpredictable. We combine it with other signals. The creature will hear us," Marcus said. "It will know exactly where we are." "Yes," Emma said, "but it will not understand what it is hearing. Its brain will not be able to process the information correctly. A creature that hunts by following one clear signal will be confused by multiple signals at once." Frank understood. He was old enough to remember times before computers and advanced technology. He understood that sometimes simple was better than complex. "I am with you," he said. "Tell us what to do." Emma created a plan. It was simple. Too simple. It seemed like it could not possibly work against an unkillable alien beast. But Emma knew something that the trained soldiers did not know. Sometimes the answer was not a bigger weapon. Sometimes the answer was thinking differently. She positioned Frank at one end of the corridor with a bucket and a heavy wrench. She told Marcus and Patricia to take metal containers and arrange them to create different pitches of sound. She would coordinate the noise making from the center of the corridor. "When the creature enters the corridor," Emma explained, "we hit these containers in no pattern. We make the sounds random and unpredictable. We make it loud. We use the emergency lights to create flashing. We do everything at the same time." "This is insane," Patricia said. But she held the container in her hands. They heard the creature approaching. Its footsteps became louder. It was moving down the main corridor that led to their dead end. Emma looked at the three people who depended on her. They were scared. They were trapped. But they were willing to try something new. The creature's breathing came closer. They could hear it sniffing at the corridors, trying to pick up the scent of humans. Emma raised her hand. "Get ready," she whispered. The creature's head appeared in the corridor entrance. Emma dropped her hand. Frank hit the bucket with the wrench. A loud, sharp sound filled the corridor. Patricia and Marcus struck their containers in random, chaotic patterns. Emma triggered the emergency lights, making them flash in an unpredictable rhythm that had no pattern. The creature roared. It was working. The beast's head moved back and forth, trying to understand what it was sensing. The sound was coming from everywhere and nowhere. The vibrations were confusing. The light flashes did not match the sound patterns. The creature's roar changed. It sounded frustrated, confused. Emma did not stop. She kept signaling to the others. "Keep making noise. Keep making chaos." The creature took a step forward, then a step backward. Its claws scraped at the metal floor. It was trying to process the overwhelming sensory input. Emma realized something crucial. They had just found the creature's weakness. The beast's greatest strength was its ability to sense and understand its prey through the environment. But that same ability became a weakness when the environment became too complex, too chaotic, too full of competing information. The creature shook its head, like it was trying to clear water from its ears. It turned away and moved back down the corridor. Away from them. Emma kept the noise going until she could no longer hear the creature's footsteps. She kept going for another full minute after that. Only then did she signal the others to stop. They stood in the sudden silence, breathing hard. Frank looked at Emma with new respect. "You did it," he said. Emma held up her hand to stop him. She was already sending another message to Dr. Wilson. The scientist needed to know what had worked. The scientist needed to understand the creature's weakness, because Emma realized that the military could not stop this creature, but humanity might. All they needed was the right idea. Dr. Wilson received Emma's message in the command center. She read the data about the creature's sensory overload and understood immediately what the cadet had discovered. She turned to Commander Hayes. "Sir, the creature has a vulnerability," she said. "Its sensory processing has a limit. Too many signals at once will confuse it." Commander Hayes looked at her. He had just received reports of another security team dead. He was running out of time. He was running out of personnel. He was running out of hope. "Explain," he said. Dr. Wilson told him about Emma's discovery. She explained the theory about sensory overload. She showed him the data from the creature's reaction in the maintenance corridor. For a moment, Commander Hayes said nothing. Then he made a decision. "Tell Cadet Rodriguez to get her group to evacuation point Beta," he said. "We will coordinate a strategy based on her findings." Emma received the message in the dead-end corridor. She read it and understood what she had to do. They had to move. They had to reach the evacuation point. And they had to do it without being detected by the creature. "Move carefully," Emma told the group. "We go slowly. We make no noise. We move away from the creature's current location." Frank, Patricia, and Marcus followed her back through the maintenance corridors. Emma had studied the station maps. She knew another route to evacuation point Beta. It was longer, but it would take them away from the creature's path. They moved quietly through the dark corridors. The emergency lights gave them enough visibility to see where they were going, but not enough to feel safe. Every sound they made was a risk. Every shadow could hide danger. The creature's roar echoed through the station. It was still hunting, still moving through the corridors, but it was not moving toward them. Emma's plan was working. They moved faster now, more confident. They were going to make it. Then they turned a corner and saw the creature ahead of them dot. It was 30 meters away, moving in their direction. It had not seen them yet. It was focused on something else. But it was in their only exit route. Emma thought quickly. They could go back and find another way. But that would take time. The creature might move toward them. There was no guarantee another route would be safe. Emma made her decision. "Stop," she whispered to the group. "Do not move." She walked toward the creature, slowly, carefully, deliberately. "Emma, no," Frank whispered behind her. But she was already moving. Emma held a metal bucket in one hand and a tool in the other. She walked toward the creature, her heart beating so hard she thought it would break through her ribs. The creature sensed her movement. Its head turned toward her. Its 4 eyes focused on the small human approaching it. Emma was terrified. Every instinct told her to run. But she did not run. She raised the bucket and hit it against the metal pipe in the corridor wall. The sound was loud, sharp. It echoed off the metal walls. The creature reacted immediately. Its head shook. Its movement became unsure. Emma did not stop. She hit the bucket again and again, creating a loud, consistent noise. Frank understood what Emma was doing. He picked up another bucket and began hitting it against the corridor wall with a different rhythm. Patricia and Marcus found metal containers and tools. They began creating sound from different directions. The creature's roar became a sound of frustration and confusion. Multiple sounds were coming from multiple directions. It could not follow a single target. It could not understand what was happening. The creature turned in a circle, trying to determine which direction to move. Emma kept making noise, moving slowly to the side of the corridor. She held the bucket up in front of her face to protect herself if the creature struck. She moved like someone performing a dangerous dance, always keeping the noise going, always moving slowly to create an opening. Frank moved to the opposite side. Patricia and Marcus created even more noise from the center of the corridor. The creature was overwhelmed. Its ancient predatory instincts told it to hunt, but its sensory processing was broken by the chaos. It could not understand the environment. It could not find a single target. It could not think clearly. Emma moved slowly toward the corridor opening. Frank moved with her. Patricia and Marcus continued the noise, stepping backward carefully. The creature struck at the sound behind them, but its blow hit only air and metal. It roared and shook its head. Patricia and Marcus ran past the creature. It did not follow them because the noise from the other direction was louder now. The creature's attention turned that way. Emma and Frank moved faster now, still hitting the buckets, still creating the confusion. They ran toward the corridor opening. Behind them, the creature tried to follow. But the walls in this section of the station were narrower. The creature had to turn its massive body to move forward. Every movement brought its head close to the walls. Every movement was clumsy because it could not process the environment clearly. Frank and Emma ran through the corridor opening. They could hear the creature moving behind them, but it was slower now. The creature's movements were not coordinated. It had adapted to hunting in environments where it could use its senses clearly. This chaos was not something its brain had evolved to handle. They ran through 3 more corridors. Behind them, the creature was still following, but it was falling behind. Then Emma heard it. The sound of a barrier sealing. A metal door coming down. Dr. Wilson had understood the plan. She was sealing off the corridors as the creature moved through them, trapping it in sections of the station. Emma ran toward evacuation point Beta. Frank was right behind her. Patricia and Marcus were already there, breathing hard, safe. The barrier sealed behind them with a heavy metal sound. On the other side, the creature roared. It struck at the sealed barrier, but the barrier held. The creature was contained again. Commander Hayes stood in the command center and watched the monitors. He saw the creature trapped in a sealed section of the station. He saw the security team standing by, ready if the creature tried to move to another area. And he saw Emma Rodriguez standing in evacuation point Beta. Breathing hard but alive. Dr. Wilson sent an immediate report to the command center. She included data about Emma's discovery. She included analysis of how sensory overload had stopped a creature that weapons could not stop. Kevin Nash watched the monitor from the medical bay. His wounds were serious, but his recovery had begun. He saw a cadet use her brain to accomplish what experienced soldiers could not accomplish with weapons. "Put her in for commendation," Commander Hayes said to Lieutenant Morgan, "and transfer her to the advanced training program. We need more people who think like this." Emma stood with Frank, Patricia, and Marcus. They were safe. They had survived. They had escaped an unkillable alien beast, not with weapons or force, but with understanding and improvisation. Captain James Sullivan received confirmation that evacuation point Beta was secure. He prepared the final shuttle for departure. All remaining personnel would be evacuated. As Emma boarded the shuttle, she looked back at the station. The creature was inside, contained in sealed corridors. It was still alive. It was still unkillable. But it was not free. The shuttle launched and moved away from Meridian 7. Emma watched the station grow smaller on the monitor. She thought about what she had learned. She thought about the creature's strength and its weakness. She thought about how humanity had survived, not because they were stronger or faster, but because they could think, adapt, and solve problems. The shuttle moved toward the safety of the orbital platform above the planet. Behind them, the unkillable beast remained contained, and the military was already preparing a new strategy based on what a human cadet had discovered. The orbital station above the planet was crowded with evacuees. Engineers, scientists, soldiers, and support staff all moved through the corridors searching for their assigned quarters. The atmosphere was heavy with the weight of what had happened. 37 personnel were dead. Meridian 7 station had been abandoned. An alien creature still roamed the empty corridors below. Emma stood at a window looking down at the station. She did not feel like a hero. She felt tired. She felt like someone who had been very lucky. A voice behind her made her turn. It was Commander Hayes. "Cadet Rodriguez," he said. "You have been requested for a debriefing." Emma followed him to a conference room. Inside were Commander Hayes, Lieutenant Morgan, Captain Sullivan, and Dr. Wilson. They all looked at her when she entered. "Sit down, Emma," Dr. Wilson said. It was the first time she had used Emma's first name instead of calling her Cadet Rodriguez. Emma sat down. She did not know what to say. "You made a discovery that saved this station and all of our lives," Commander Hayes said. His voice was serious. His eyes showed genuine respect. "You observed something that 30 years of military training did not teach me to see. You saw the creature's weakness when everyone else was looking for ways to make our weapons stronger." Lieutenant Morgan spoke next. "Your tactical analysis was correct. The creature's sensory processing has a maximum limit. When multiple signals compete for attention, the creature cannot process them effectively. Your solution was to create chaos instead of applying more force." "It was luck," Emma said quietly. "I made an observation. I got lucky." "No." Kevin Nash's voice came from the door. The security chief walked into the room. He was bandaged and moving with difficulty, but he was walking. It was not luck. It was thinking. A cadet did what trained security personnel could not do. A cadet understood that sometimes the answer is not bigger weapons or more firepower. Sometimes the answer is smarter thinking. Dr. Wilson opened a tablet and showed Emma the data. "We have analyzed your method extensively. The creature is currently contained, but we now understand its vulnerabilities. We can create predictable protocols for containing or controlling it in the future. You gave us the knowledge to live with this creature without being killed by it." Emma looked at the data. It was detailed and comprehensive. Dr. Wilson had taken Emma's simple discovery and turned it into scientific understanding. "We are recommending you for commendation and fast-track promotion," Commander Hayes said. "You will continue your service, but you will receive advanced training. We need people who think the way you think." Emma did not know what to say. She had expected to be told to return to normal duties. Instead, they were promoting her. "There is something else," Dr. Wilson said. "I am putting together a research team to study the creature more thoroughly. I would like you to be part of that team. Your observations about sensory processing could lead to new understanding of how alien species operate." "I want to be part of it," Emma said. She had surprised herself by speaking so quickly. Over the next week, Emma participated in numerous debriefings. Military officers, scientists, and officials all wanted to understand exactly how she had solved the problem. Each time, she explained the same thing. She had observed the creature's behavior. She had noticed a pattern. She had remembered what Dr. Wilson had told her about the creature's sensory organs. She had realized that sensory organs could be overloaded. It was simple logic. But it was logic that nobody else had applied. Kevin Nash recovered slowly in the medical bay. When he was well enough to walk without assistance, he visited Emma. "You did what I could not do," he said. "I have studied combat training for my entire career. I know how to fight. But I learned how to fight enemies that think the way I think, that follow the patterns I understand. You learned how to fight something completely alien. You did it by asking different questions." In the research division, Dr. Wilson's team began detailed studies of the creature. They used Emma's discovery as a foundation. They created sensory simulations that could confuse the creature without harming it. They learned about its neurobiology. They discovered that its regeneration was not infinite. It was only faster than standard healing. If the creature was severely injured, the regeneration would be slower. If the creature was confused and distressed, it would not regenerate properly. The creature had weaknesses. It just required understanding to find them. Captain James Sullivan prepared for the return trip to Meridian 7. A skeleton crew would return to retrieve data and materials. The creature would remain contained in sealed sections. Eventually, the station would be recommissioned with new containment protocols based on Emma's findings. In a small room, Emma wrote her personal report. She tried to explain her thinking process. She tried to describe how she had realized that sensory overload was the answer. But words felt inadequate. In the end, she wrote something simple. The creature is physically unkillable. Its body can endure anything. But its mind, its sensory processing, has limitations. Every being, no matter how strong or advanced, must process information. If that processing is overloaded, the being becomes confused and ineffective. This is not a weapon. This is understanding. This is knowledge about how the universe works. Strength without understanding is useless. Understanding without strength is incomplete. But intelligence, the ability to observe and learn and adapt, is the strength that no body can match. Days later, Emma received her official commendation. The document stated that she had displayed exceptional courage and remarkable tactical intelligence in a life-threatening situation. It stated that her discoveries had saved personnel and would advance human understanding of alien biology. But Emma knew the real truth. She had been lucky. She had been in the right place at the right time. She had remembered something she had been told. She had made a logical connection. Many people could have done the same thing. They just had not been in that corridor when the creature appeared. Emma stood on the observation deck of the orbital station and looked down at Meridian 7 below. The station was quiet now. Inside, the creature moved through empty corridors, contained in sealed sections, waiting. Humanity had captured an unkillable alien beast. Weapons could not stop it. Armor could not protect against it. Force could not overcome it. But a cadet with a bucket and an understanding of sensory overload had stopped it. Dr. Wilson joined her at the window. The scientist looked at the station with the expression of someone looking at a puzzle that was finally starting to make sense. "Do you know what this means?" Dr. Wilson asked. "This changes everything. Across the galaxy, there are species that are stronger than humans. There are species with better weapons. There are species that live longer and travel faster. But humans have something that many species do not have. Humans can observe, think, and adapt. Humans can ask why instead of just accepting what is. Humans can solve problems that seem impossible." Emma did not answer. She continued looking at the station. "That creature will spend its life in captivity," Dr. Wilson continued. "Other scientists will study it. Other humans will learn from it. And perhaps one day, we will understand not just how to contain it, but how to communicate with it. How to understand what it wants and why it was left behind on that planet. Your discovery is not the end of this story, Emma. It is the beginning." Over the next months, Emma received multiple requests. Scientists wanted her to lecture about her discovery. Military academies wanted to use her example in training programs. She was offered advanced positions and prestigious assignments. Emma declined most of them. Instead, she continued her training and joined Dr. Wilson's research team. She returned to Meridian 7 with the research group. She observed the creature through secure barriers. She studied its behavior and contributed to the growing body of knowledge about how it thought and sensed and learned. The creature adapted to its captivity. It learned the sounds and rhythms of the research station. It learned when humans were near and when they were distant. It learned that some humans were not threats. It began to understand that it was not hunting prey. It was living in a new world with new rules. Emma watched the creature grow older. Its skin became rougher. Its movements became slower. The unkillable beast did not die, but it aged like all creatures age. Years later, Dr. Wilson was promoted to lead the entire alien research division. She recommended Emma to be her successor in the xenobiology department. "You deserve this position," Dr. Wilson told her. "You discovered something that nobody else could see. You saved lives because you could think differently." Emma accepted the promotion, but she still preferred direct research to administration. She spent her time studying the creature and the data it provided. She published papers about sensory processing and alien neurobiology. Her work was cited by scientists across human space, but what Emma was most proud of was not her promotion or her publications. What she was most proud of was that she had proven something important. She had proven that strength and weapons and advanced technology were not the only answers to impossible problems. Sometimes the answer was simpler. Sometimes the answer was thinking in a new way. Years later, a new cadet arrived at the research station. The young officer was fascinated by the creature, just as Emma had been when she arrived years before. Emma remembered that cadet.